Dr. Konigsberger has taught courses in 19th and 20th century British literature, 20th century Anglophone literatures, periodical studies, literary theory, cultural studies, and methods of research in English. That's very exciting. Now, most recently, Dr. McCrory has served as the, well, I'll tell you a little bit more about her. Dr. Denise McCrory is the newly appointed of Tri-C and the Metropolitan Campus. And Dr. McCrory was appointed president earlier this month after serving Tri-C in various positions for nearly 2 decades. And so more recently, Dr. McCrory has served as Dean of Academic Affairs at the Eastern Campus. She started her career at Tri-C in 2001 as a national trainer for NASA's Science, Engineering, Mathematics, and Aerospace Academy. Later, she served as program assistant for the college's pathway programs, as a student success specialist, as assistant dean and dean of student affairs. So she's done a little bit of everything there. Dr. McCrory holds her doctorate degree in higher education leadership from Walden University in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she earned her master's degree from Cleveland State University and her undergraduate degree from Ohio University. Go Bobcats, that's where my daughter's in the law. We thank you both so much for generously sharing your time, your expertise, and wisdom with us this afternoon, and we're looking forward to your lecture. And so we're not here to listen to me, so I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Konigsberger and Dr. McCrory. Please, let's give them a warm welcome as we can do in our virtual space.
Thank you, Vice President Solomon. And what I would like to do now is actually share my screen, and then Dr. McCrory and I will kind of, I think, bounce back and forth as we navigate through our slide presentation today. So let me just pull this up, and I hope everyone can see that. And then we will get going here. Let's see. Can everyone see that? All right. All right, so we are presenting on our joint endeavor today on the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative, and therefore the title of our very brief presentation, we're going to talk just for a few minutes, and then what we really want to do is put our Cleveland Humanities Collaborative scholars and alumni front and center in this conversation, and have them talk for a bit just about their experiences at both of our campuses and in their capacities really as students who have participated fully in the lives of both institutions. So we'll start here with a little bit about Tri-C.
Sure. First off, I want to thank Robert for the introductions. Thank you so much. And thank you, Janetta, for putting all the logistics together for this event. And thank you to everyone who came out to join this presentation. We appreciate your participation. So a little bit about Cuyahoga Community College, and I'm going to juxtapose our college-wide data with our Metro Campus data. Cuyahoga Community College is a multi-campus institution. The Metropolitan Campus is one of 4 campuses. It's the second largest campus, and it is the oldest flagship campus, and it is the only campus that sits in Cleveland proper. The campus, the college-wide enrollment for the college is about 18,000 students, and about 5,000 of them reside at the Metropolitan Campus. The average age of our institution, students attending our institution, is 25. So we tend to serve a more non-traditional student. And for the Metro Campus, the average age is a little bit higher than that at 27. 41% white versus 57% white at the metropolitan campus, of 22% Black versus 36% Black at the metropolitan campus. And then our Hispanic population, 7% for the college and 9% at the metro campus. About a third, a little over a third of our students are Pell eligible. And that is we have a higher percentage of Pell eligible students at the metropolitan campus, about 46%. The overwhelming majority of our students live in Cuyahoga County. We are a county supported institution through a levy. So our students are able to leverage a lower tuition rate because they are in county residents and they already support the institution through those county tax dollars. 73% of our students are part-time, and that percentage has ticked up a bit over the years. When I first started at the institution, or at least first started paying attention to data like these, we were somewhere in the mid to high 60s. So our part-time attendance has really gone up quite a bit for our students. 9% of our students are from the Cleveland Metropolitan School District overall. CMSD is our largest K-12 feeder district, and that percentage is much higher in the metropolitan campus at 20%. And about 1/3 of our students are Associate of Arts or Associate of Science majors, which are our transfer degrees. So they intend to start here and continue their education at a 4-year college or university. And then our next largest majors are nursing, the health careers, and our business majors. So that is Tri-C in a nutshell.
And a couple of things that I would highlight here. One is that Tri-C is an access-oriented institution, which means it's really committed to making education available to everyone in our community, as many people as possible. And because, as Dr. McCrory said, so many live in Cuyahoga County, they really know our community very well. A little bit about the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative. This is an initiative that is supported by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation and has been since December 2014. It provides a pathway for those Associate of Arts students, those that Dr. McCrory highlighted as among those 1/3 of students who are really in a position to think in a focused way about transfer. It provides a pathway for those students to move on and pursue a Bachelor of Arts in Humanities and closely aligned fields. Our first cohort of CHC scholars transferred from Tri-C in 2016 to 17. And we were renewed by the Mellon Foundation for a second granting period between July 2019 and July 2023 with Cuyahoga Community College. In the period 2020 to 23, we're also taking on a couple of additional new partners with Lorain County Community College and Lakeland Community College. So why a transfer pathway in the humanities? Well, in recent decades, we've really seen declines in humanities majors at research universities as a share of overall university degrees. But at the same time, we've seen significant increases actually in humanities study at community colleges. And so it's really in the interest of universities to work with those students who have expressed interest in the humanities during their associate degree work to try to bring them along to pursue their 4-year degree. Our pathway, I believe, also really fosters 2-year degree completion. It puts students on a pathway and encourages them to complete those degrees. And something I think we'll hear a little bit more about when we actually talk with our scholars is the way in which they really enrich our 4-year classrooms. The 4-year degree as a sort of add-on to the associate's degree really also boosts the lifetime earnings of those humanities majors. I'd say one really crucial piece for this program is that students know the community and they bring that knowledge of the community and their commitment to the community to our university here. So here's a little bit about how this pathway works. All of our CHC students really demonstrate excellence in the Tri-C classroom. Once they are on the pathway with us in the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative, we have some dedicated programming and support for those students as they complete their associate degrees. And one really distinctive feature of the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative program is that students can take courses concurrently at Cuyahoga Community College and Case Western Reserve. And at that point, even while the students are working on associate's degrees, they really become part of a collaborative endeavor where they are working at both institutions, studying at both institutions, and thinking with humanities methodologies and on humanities problems together. The CHC offers workshops to support transitions among classroom environments. As you might imagine, our classrooms are not all the same. Until this year, Cuyahoga Community College offered online courses, and many students took advantage of online courses, but Case Western Reserve, again until about March, really didn't offer remote or online experiences. And so that's just one example of the way a student's experiences at the two campuses might have differed up until this March for sure. We offer peer mentoring and dedicated program advising, and then individual attention to transfer applications from Tri-C to Case Western Reserve. When CHC students complete their associate's degrees, make a successful application to Case Western Reserve, they become CHC scholars. Before they begin their work here, we have a bridge program for them in the summer so that they get sort of, how do we think of that? We think of it as a very tailored experience for the students prior to the commencement of the fall semester, where we have program faculty, but also peers saying, you know, this is what you really need to know about studying full-time at Case Western Reserve. Our program offers cohort-based 1 credit hour courses over the first 4 semesters that students are matriculated at Case Western Reserve. We host weekly meetups and events. The program offers funds for research projects and unpaid internships. And we also, just this fall, we have our alumni board kicking off, and they are really a committed bunch and eager to build out a support network post-graduation for our CHC scholars. This fall, this is kind of a snapshot of our program. We have 20 scholars enrolled full-time at CWRU right now. 10 CHC students who are completing associate's degrees at Tri-C are also enrolled in courses at Case Western Reserve. We have 9 program alumni to date. One of them is with us today, at least one is with us today. Our students go on to graduate programs. So we have some working towards master's in military ethics or a master's in counseling. We have a student at the University of Pittsburgh working on a PhD in Hispanic literatures. Others have gone into the workforce, working for Cuyahoga County or Teach for America. And new this fall is we have some prospective CHC students at Lorain County and Lakeland community colleges. So our footprint is slowly expanding. What we'd really like to do now is to introduce our CHC scholars who have agreed to come and speak today. We have Darnell Crenshaw L., who is a May 2020 CHC graduate, Daryl Butler, who is looking to January 2021 for his graduation date, Gina Lopez, Natalie Morgan, and I didn't see Sammy when we began, but if he's able to be here, Sammy Sizemore. The three of them are going to be May 2021 graduates of the program. So I'm going to stop my share now and invite those students to unmute, and we'd like to, I think, really spotlight their experiences, maybe beginning by asking them to introduce themselves a little bit. So Daryl, Darnell, Gina, Natalie, if you wouldn't mind just saying a few words about yourselves, how you came to the CHC, what's your major here, and maybe some of the capstone projects that you're working on. So maybe we'll start with Darnell.
I apologize. I'm finishing up a staff meeting, but we're just doing introductions, right?
Yeah, we're just doing introductions.
Right. So my name is Darnell Crenshaw L. I'm from Cleveland. I went to Tri-C, of course. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I did 3 years there, and I transferred to Case, and I picked up 2 bachelor degrees in history and sociology. Currently, I am a teacher for Lakeshore Intergenerational Schools in Lakeshore. And I'm also a current core member of Teach for America. I apologize for being all over the place. It's been a long day with a lot of kids.
Thanks for being here, Darnell. Daryl, you want to pick up?
Sure, thank you. My name is Daryl Butler. I am a history major here at Case Western Reserve. Tri-C experience. So I went to Tri-C, I guess about 2.5 years. And I was mainly going to the Eastern campus. So I kind of got connected with the CHC through, it was kind of strange because there was these emails all the time in my box, and I'd look at them, I'm like, yeah. And finally one day I decided to respond. And there I met Dr. Kim, and the rest is history, which Dr. Kim is fantastic. She was a fantastic ambassador for the program. And so that's how I got here.
How about your major, Daryl?
Oh, sorry, I thought I said that. I'm a history major.
History major.
Yes.
And Daryl, as I think I mentioned before we started, just got out of a session on entrepreneurship in Huff with Professor Michael Goldberg in the Weatherhead School. So Daryl's been moderating a 3-session series over there. So if you want to participate in the 3rd series, that's on Thursday at 1:30.
That is correct. Thursday at 1:30.
All right, come on over. Hear more about entrepreneurship in Huff.
I'll place a link in the chat here.
Thanks, Daryl. Gina.
Hi. As Dean Kay said, my name is Gina. I came into the CHC, I don't know, I guess a little over 2 years ago now. Similarly to Daryl, I was receiving emails about CHC, and I was like, you know what, might as well see what this is all about. And here we are today. I'm an art history major and Japanese studies minor. Let's see. I completed my capstone last year, like a year early. But right now I am working on 2 internships at the Cleveland Museum of Art. I am a curatorial assistant in the Japanese art department, and I am also a student guide, even though we're not really doing tours at the CMA right now. But our research is social justice based and correlating that with the CMA's collection. And I'm also a CHC peer mentor. And that's it about me.
Thanks, Gina. Natalie.
Hello, I'm Natalie. Let's see, just like Gina and Darrell, I got the same emails and just said I'll go on a tour, see what it's like. enjoyed it, signed up. I did about 3 years at Tri-C, and about 1.5 of those years I did concurrent. Yeah, I'm in my second full year here. I'm an English major with a ethics minor and a concentration in African American studies. My capstone is this semester, and I'm actually working on it with Dr. Mobley, something to do with the Harlem Renaissance. So I'm really excited about that. The only other thing I'm really interested in and working on is that I work in special collections at the Kelvin Smith Library. So I'm looking into going into that in my master's program. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie. Sammy.
Good afternoon. I'm Sammy. I am a philosophy and English major with a minor in creative writing. I was at Tri-C for 3 years. I heard about the CHC through a professor, my English professor. The second semester I was at Tri-C, he told me about it and suggested that I look into it, so I did. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. Yeah, I mean, I'm planning on, right now my plans are to go into, I'm looking at Teach for America, but I'm also looking into Master of Fine Arts programs for creative writing. And that's about it.
Thanks, Sammy. And I think at this point, we'd like to open up more generally to the panel some questions that Dr. McCrory and I have for the group. So we'll just kind of throw them out there and see what you all think.
Want me to take this one, Kurt?
Sure.
So anyone who wants to jump in and answer this, why did you decide to pursue a humanities degree? Samuel, you look like you're ready to go.
I mean, I was just I was seeing if anyone else was gonna jump in there, but I guess I'll go first. I mean, I had originally intended to pursue. My intention when I was coming back to school was to look into medicine. I originally wanted to be a medical doctor, and that changed when I realized that I need to be creative in some capacity. So I think that the humanities affords more opportunities to be creative, and it's also a little bit more holistic in terms of education. Instead of like specializing in a field, I think the humanities, it applies to all fields, I think. So I like that that holistic sort of aspect of it. And I mean, I think also my goals, I also just wanted to be, I didn't want to just learn things about the world, but I wanted to learn about how to be a better person. I felt if I could, I felt like if I could learn that, then, I'd be better positioned to accomplish whatever ideal of success I decide to have. So that makes sense.
He does. Thank you. Daryl.
Sure. Why did I decide to pursue a humanities degree? Well, there's kind of two parts to this answer. The first part being that when I originally left my former career to go back to school in 2016, I decided at first that I wanted to attend law school eventually. And so, law school requires a lot of writing, a lot of reading, And so humanities are good training for that. But additionally, I'll also say that part of it was influenced by some of my first experiences taking classes at Tri-C, because there were professors who, and not that I didn't expect it, but they were just incredibly supportive and encouraging, particularly about, like, for instance, when I took English composition or whatever it's called at Tri-C, and my professor was just so supportive and said, I really love your writing, you're doing well with this. And she encouraged me to take composition 2 in honors. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. No, you could do it. You could do it. You could do it. And so I took it and I got an A in that course. And that gave me a whole lot of confidence that, that I can take humanities and also do really well with it. And then applying that to my desire to want to go to law school, it just made a lot of sense.
Thank you. Anyone else want to talk about what made you go into humanities? What attracted you to humanities? Darnell.
Oh, okay.
Darnell, then is that Natalie? Next.
Natalie can go first if you want to.
He's deferring to you, Natalie. You want to take it?
Sure. What drew me to the humanities is it's probably a just deeper, like a desire to have a deeper understanding of other people and their cultures and how they live and experience the world, aside from what I see. So I took the English route because when you're reading it, you really get to see, like, someone put effort into showing you how they experience the world. And once you understand that, it changes how you experience the world and it just opens your eyes. And so that's what drew me to it.
I love that perspective as a fellow English major. Appreciate that. Darnell.
For me, it goes into something that I've been doing basically all my life, which is watching. For a long time, since the time I was born, I've always been the type of person that just watches other people and observe what's going on around me. So when I went into college, I was choosing subject areas where I wasn't really observing what was going on around me on everyday basis and everything like that. Until I came across the CHC and they were like, okay, you can choose what you want to be in college or what you want to go to. And I said, you know what? Why don't I just take this thing that I've been doing all my life and just apply it to my academic fields? And I chose history, which is just observing what has been done in the past, or sociology, which is how people interact in groups, even though that's not a humanity, but it's kind of like a humanity because it is studying humans. So basically, I just took up an interest that I've always been doing my whole life, which was learning about people. People are so unique, cool, and diverse, and I just love learning about how we do certain things, why we do certain things, and what happened in the past. So that's my little spiel.
Thank you. That's a lovely way to define the discipline. I appreciate that. And I think, Gina, you're the only one we haven't heard from so far. Would you like to contribute anything about what attracted you to the humanities?
Yeah, kind of coattailing of what has been said already. I think the humanities give space to reflect and connect with, like many of my peers have said, the past and the present, and we're really able to get a broader understanding of humans and human nature, and that's definitely something that has always appealed to me, which is why I'm here today. And I also like the fact that humanities majors always have to defend themselves on why we study the humanities. I don't know, that I feel like I always have to reassert my purpose, and I think that's also kind of appealing to me too.
Wonderful, thank you. I know how you feel. Kurt, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, I'll take the next round here, which is to invite you all to talk a little bit about what you as Tri-C graduates bring or brought to the Case Western Reserve classroom? Any thoughts on that? All right, Daryl.
So I'm a, considered a non-traditional student. I am 42 years old. So one of the main things that I think that I bring to Case Classroom is life experience, career experience. And some of that experience has to do with being exposed to so many different types of people over the course of my life, whether it's working with them, working hand in hand with them, working with them professionally, business to business, business to consumer. And I think all of those experiences are, at least for undergrads at Case, most of them aren't 42. And so I think that life experience is just a different perspective in the classroom. It certainly doesn't make you any better or worse, but it's a different angle, and I can speak on things sometimes that maybe some of the other students have not been able to experience yet themselves. So I think that that's the main thing that I've seen that I add to the classroom.
Daryl, do you find that your life experience is deliberately drawn upon in your classes at Case? Do you feel like you're able to readily contribute that to your classmates?
Frequently, yes, very much so, because I think, well, in the past year or so, I've been taking several business classes as well. And so my experience in business has been helpful in that setting. And also, I think that the life experience, again, and I think I brought this up just a few moments ago, like group projects and things like that. Like I'm used to working with people. And so I think that I've had successful projects with my groups because, I help galvanize everybody together. I understand, like, okay, hey, we've got to work this out. And so people have responded to that in a lot of ways. I don't always want to be this person, but sometimes I'm looked at like, well, Daryl, what do you want to do? Like, you're the elder of us all, and so that's okay. I think that my life experiences, though, have been drawn upon from professors and students alike.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Looks like Sammy's trying to unmute, desperately trying to unmute.
I concur with Daryl. I mean, I'm 34 years old, and I think that's probably what, and I don't even think you need to be as old as Daryl or I. I mean, I think 25-year-olds, 22-year-olds. I think they also bring life experience in the classroom at Case, and I think there's just, I think it's also, because there is the experience of being an adult and having to navigate the world sort of on your own, but there are other aspects of one's life, because I mean, I should probably actually stop right there, because I'm gonna make this very complex very, very quickly. So I'll just stop actually right there.
It's your job as a philosophy major, right, Sammy?
Right.
Kurt, if it's okay, I'd like to ask an off-script question.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which is, can you tell us about your experiences as a transfer student? How do you feel that your experience compares to students who were native to Case? Do you feel there's a difference? Do you feel that it was a more enriching or less enriching experience for you to transfer from Tri-C?
I'll start again. It was a culture shock for me, quite frankly, and I don't say that as a bad thing, but my Tri-C experience is completely different from my Case experience, having to be on campus every day and getting used to those things, commuting 45 minutes each way. So for me, navigating the issues that, you know, frankly, most students on campus don't have were kind of difficult in the beginning, especially the first semester. It also, when I first came over to campus, to Case campus, I was unable to really work professionally in the way that I had hoped. Whereas when I was at Tri-C, I had a job, and where I went to Case, it was like, man, I've got to be up here 5 days a week now. So just the changing of that culture for me was very difficult. And so might even took me 2 semesters to kind of acclimate myself to it, and how I'm going to take care of my family life and home life and all these other things while I'm transferring over from this other school. Because to be quite frank with you, when I went back to school originally, Case was not even in my thought process. So my thought was I'll probably go to a school where I could do some hybrid learning, some online, some in person. That way I can continue to work. And when I accepted this opportunity, it was like, well, those plans aren't going to be the same. So I had some adjustments personally.
Sammy, then Natalie.
I mean, I think there at Tri-C I think there is more of an emphasis on community. There's everyone seems to be a little bit more open and accepting. I don't know if that's like a deliberate thing or even a conscious thing, but it just
We try.
I mean, that's one of the things that I really loved about Tri-C is just it is a community. Like the community, I think, is probably the most. I mean, that's what it means to me. And anyway, that sort of openness, or I don't know. I mean, at Case, people are a little bit more alienated. All of them are, they're all the same age, and so it's hard to kind of it's harder for older students, I think, to connect with younger students in some ways. I think sometimes that background and that life experience can kind of mirror those connections. But I also think that because of the workload and sort of the work ethic that is instilled in these students, I think there's just not the same sort of opportunities to form those connections that there are at Tri-C. I mean, you can still adjust, but that was probably the most difficult aspect of it for me.
Thank you. Natalie?
Well, I kind of have to go against what Sammy just said. I actually have made more connections with more people at Case and find them more open and understanding than at Tri-C. Even just like what Darrell was saying about the culture, that difference to me was just like with that, just like when they would ask for like extensions on assignments, that was a culture shock to me, because at Tri-C, I was so used to this is due on this date and it has to be done. And whatever excuse you have, everyone has that excuse. So you should have had it done. But at Case, it is more open and understanding that if I'm a little late and I tell you, look, I had 4 papers, I'm a little tired, I find the professors more understanding to that.
Thank you. Anyone else want to talk about your experience as a transfer student and maybe the differences you felt?
If I could just piggyback off of what Natalie and Sammy were saying. So my experience, my connections have been greater at Case. And I don't attribute that to any sort of culture differences at all. I think my life at Tri-C was so different because I was like an in and out student. I'd be at class, I go to class, I get in my car, I come back. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure how many people I even know from Tri-C, because that's how I had to do it, because I had a full-time job and I was doing all these other things. I'm a parent, and at that time I had a newborn. So it was kind of hectic at that point. So I've made more connections at Case.
Well, you saw the data that show that 73% of our students are part-time. So Gerald, you weren't alone in that experience, to where it's pretty much parking lot, classroom, parking lot for a lot of our students because they have so much going on. But a question I have for you, those of you who shared, especially those of you who said it was a bit of a culture shock or a struggle to adapt, what could be helpful or could have been helpful during your first few months at Case to help you transition and help you acclimate and make you feel more part of the community? Or if you felt part of the community, what was it about the institution that made you feel that way? Because they obviously need to know so they can keep doing more. So what is it that made you feel at home there?
I hate to always go first, but I think I have an answer for that. So this will be kind of a shameless plug, but it is actually true. What made me feel at home at Case was the support from the CHC, 1000%. Because when we did the bridge program over the summer, I think there were 9 people in our cohort, something like that. Darnell was in it with me. I thought all of us really built some great rapport with not only each other, but with our professor and with Allison. And Allison and Dr. Breed have just been, especially in my first semester, they were so incredibly supportive. And it was like, man, all right, this is a little hectic, but these people have my back. I know that, so it's all right. Like, you can do this. If I need something, I'll reach out. And everybody had, like, with open arms, how can I help you? And so that was what made me feel welcome.
I was going to say, oh, sorry. I was going to say, I think Daryl's right. I mean, the CHC is sort of its own. I mean, there's just a great support system, and it's sort of its own self-contained unit within Case, and everyone there can identify with your experience and offer their support. And yeah, I mean, it's just I would say that's probably it. I mean, the CHC, and just, yeah.
Can I ask a question, and then if we have time, maybe we can open to our audience a little bit. But I guess I want to ask where the opportunities are for the CHC to invest in our Cleveland community, and where there are opportunities for our institutions, Tri-C and Case Western Reserve, to invest in our Cleveland community together and build bridges.
I think I'll start this one off. So I think that bridge building in a community college setting is great and important. And I love that CHC is now expanding to other community colleges besides Tri-C. I think, however, it might be important to emphasize this maybe at a younger age. So like maybe Tri-C reaching out to high schools, because I think the sooner that students are aware of their opportunities, they'll, such as the CHC they'll be more confident and prepared students in classrooms and be ready to just, you know, hone on to those opportunities as soon as they can, instead of, you know, finding out about the CHC halfway in their, you know, associate's degree program or what have you.
Kurt, I was going to ask if you could maybe ask that question again, but maybe rephrase it a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose one way to ask the question again is how can our two institutions working together through this program or similar kinds of programs really make a difference in our broader community, right? How can we build even more bridges with the humanities into Cleveland?
I guess I could say something about that. I think if you look at every last one of our stories, those of us that are a part of CHC, we have these unique stories that are not typical of the typical college kid. Like for me, I couldn't afford to go to any of the 4 years that I got accepted to, and my family was not going to help me finance any of my education, so I had to take a different route. I went to community college and used my what's that federal grant that you get from FAFSA, the Pell Grant, to pay for school until I was able to prove to other colleges you should give me more money. So those experiences are those steps of the non-typical student that can't just go to a 4 year, or somebody that like Daryl that's coming back into it after years of being out of school, that's coming from a professional world, and you're trying to figure your way out before you go ahead and pay $60,000 to an institution for something you don't even know if you want. So like it allows this gradual progression and building until we are ready to then step into an institution like CASE. So I feel like it's a very much a part of the growth process and allows for students who wouldn't be able to go to CASE to go to CASE. And I feel like that's very impactful for students like us.
Thank you, Darnell. Any other thoughts on that question? Otherwise, I do have a chat question. Go ahead, Daryl.
I'll just make a quick comment on it, and because like I don't live in the Cleveland community, so I don't know exactly, you know, what could be done on a more local front. But I will say, just continue to give people access, which is already done with going to Lorraine and Lakeland. You guys have made great selections for people in the CHC who've been accepted into CASE, and I'm sure that many of these students, especially when you expand the pool, are going to go on to do wonderful things for their lives and represent CASE and Tri-C.
Thank you, Daryl. So we had a question in chat. Darnell says marketing. We had a question in chat about the kind of support that the CHC provides. And so I want to give a little shout out here to some people who are in the audience today. There's Michelle. Is Michelle here? There's Michelle. Michelle Bennett is
Hi.
specialist at Tri-C, and she works with our CHC students who are working on associate's degrees at Tri-C. So also Alexandria Romanovich, who is our program manager at Tri-C and manages the Tri-C portion of the Mellon Grant. At Case Western Reserve, there's Allison Morgan. Where's Allison?
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
The voice from the back of the room. There's Allison. And so really, you know, a big shout out to these three crucial pieces in the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative, working across institutions every day to work with students to make sure that they are getting the best experiences that they can possibly get. All of them are dealing with academic questions, sort of living questions, the kind of things, challenges that come up around, you know, being a student in our world. On top of all of that, we have peer mentors like Gina, So Gina is a CHC scholar this year who's mentoring the first year cohort. Is that right, Gina? But
Yeah, that's right.
But last year you were mentoring across the institutional divide, right? You were mentoring the CHC students over at...
Yeah, they were concurrently enrolled last year, and this year they're full-time Case Western Reserve University students.
So we have those peer mentors. We also have faculty cohort mentors. So there was a mention earlier of Dr. Bree Parkin, who is a cohort mentor for the program. And so we have those faculty mentors. And then we have a series of 1 credit hour courses that our students take together in a cohort. And so we have additional faculty really working on humanities methodologies, humanities problems, and humanities opportunities with our students. We have just about 5 minutes if there are questions from our audience today. We have folks from every corner of the university, I think, from faculty, from students, and from administrators out there, including faculty I know who work with these students every day. Dr. Mobley.
Okay, I'll say something that was priming the pump. Well, first of all, I'm glad to see my student Natalie on this program. And as a former Tri-C faculty member, I'm just proud of our initiative. I'm glad to see these 2 institutions working together because I think it's good for the greater Cleveland community. My first job before my PhD in Cleveland was teaching at Tri-C Eastern Campus as an English instructor. So this just takes me full circle to be in this space with you all. I guess I'm curious, of the students who are part of the program or alumni, have you recruited any other students to be part of it? Is it possible to do that? In other words, can students who are in it now go to Tri-C and recruit for the program, or is it only through emails from you, Dr. K? I heard you called Dr. K, not Dr. Kornitzberger.
Yeah, so we go ahead, Sammy.
I was going to say, when I first learned of this program, I was at Eastern Campus too. I mean, and I told two of my classmates about it, and they subsequently signed up for it. I would be totally into recruiting students from Tri-C, but I mean, I don't. Right, there's not really sort of a means to do that. Like, if I can't, I feel like it would be weird if I just showed up at like the Eastern Campus and started, preaching the gospel of the HC.
Well, I didn't mean to suggest it as a job. I guess I was just asking, had you just, inadvertently shared it with somebody? I wasn't saying you had to be on the marketing team, so.
Yeah, I think it has a strong word of mouth component for sure.
Okay.
But I think that is one of the elements. Darnell says, marketing, and I think we do have capacity to market the program a little bit more because we have slots that we could expand into. So, for sure.
Word of mouth from students to other students is definitely a really strong tactic in getting other students involved with this program. There's so many specific qualifications for students to achieve in order to be part of the CHC that it can be a lot of information, but when students are able to share their own student experience, that does a lot more for recognition of the program than, for example, me going into a class and talking about it. Even though I do that, I go to classes and I talk about it. I table at events. I do a lot of in-person things that aren't quite happening right now. And I also reach out to students that are current Tri-C students that are on a list that have like the GPA requirements, and to our full-time degree-seeking students. So I do a lot of outreach through emails and phone calls. And it's really up to a student to reply to those, like so many of you guys already did that are in this program. So I'm looking for students all the time, and whenever students refer other students to me, that's always a great start as well.
And I was gonna say too, Darnell and Daryl, who are both on this call, they did some videos with Allison and I and Tri-C's video productions. And, you know, Sammy, and anyone else, if that's something you'd like to be involved with too, we're happy to get you involved if you want something a little less informal in terms of marketing the program.
Dr. Kelly posted a question, which is what you all wish that CWRU students knew about transfer students, or wish faculty knew about transfer students. And yeah, go ahead, Darnell.
I guess it's just the heart of the transfer student. Because when you are a transfer student, you are coming into a new environment that's completely different from usually where you were. But we are kind of like these unique transfer students because we're still coming like up, it seems like, into case. There's like other people that's coming from adjacent universities, they're kind of coming across. So for us, it's coming from community college, we're just hungry, I guess. I think that's the best thing, that's the best way to describe us.
Any other thoughts on that?
We're not afraid, I would say.
And I should say that we hear that from faculty, that our transfer students tend to be more outspoken and to take risks in the classroom. And I think we have our colleagues at Tri-C to thank for that, for you know, cultivating in all of you that kind of attribute of being risk takers, for sure. I see Dr. Kelly nodding her head.
And Kurt, that's a national phenomenon, you know, with transfer students coming from community colleges. They tend to do very well at their transfer institutions.
Yeah, we're certainly grateful to have all of you. And I would say that, and some of you will remember this when we met with the provost for a luncheon, all of you, I think, agree that Case Western Reserve needs more Cleveland. And one way we bring more Cleveland to Case Western Reserve is through a program like this one. And so, you know, I'm grateful to Daryl, for instance, for leading these conversations about Huff entrepreneurship, because I think that even as he's representing Case Western Reserve, he's also facilitating a pathway to bring Cleveland to Case Western Reserve more fully. And so I'm grateful for moments like this, or for Gina working at the Cleveland Museum of Art and thinking about social justice in relation to our institution of fine arts, which often can have barriers to access. So, you know, I'm grateful to all of you for these moments. Janetta tells me that we've got a couple of minutes left, and I want to put in a couple more plugs because we've really focused on the undergraduate student experience here. But there are two other branches of the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative that I hope everyone will take away today. One is that we have opportunities for graduate students at Case Western Reserve to be studying with Tri-C faculty, and to be learning from Tri-C faculty about what it is like to work in a community college teaching environment. So each fall we have a seminar for graduate students that is co-taught by Tri-C faculty and Case Western Reserve faculty, and that leads into a spring experience where Case Western Reserve graduate students are shadowing Tri-C faculty. So if there's anybody out there working with graduate students, please have them get in touch with us if they are interested in a program like that. The third piece of the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative is a piece that is focused on faculty, staff, and community members. So each year in the spring, the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative sponsors an Ennisfield Wolf reflection exhibition. And so probably in February, you'll see a call go out for contributions to our exhibition. This spring, we had hoped it would be something that was in a physical space, and it ended up being a virtual exhibition of art and video and written reflections. But that's really focused on the Ennisfield Wolf Book Awards and the kinds of reflections on anti-racism and considerations of social justice in Cleveland and across the nation. That's kind of the focus of that. And then each summer, somewhere between June and early August, the Cleveland Humanities Collaborative also sponsors a summer seminar that's devoted to the Ennisfield Wolf Book Awards. So this summer we concentrated on just a single book, and that was by the Lifetime Achievement Award winner Eric Foner, and The Second Founding. And I think we had almost 20 participants this summer, really thinking for a whole week long about that book. And then on the last day, we had Dr. Foner. He joined us for the afternoon to engage in conversation with us. So that's an opportunity that's open really to the entire community. And we welcome your participation in future offerings.
And for anybody who's curious, our website, chc.case.edu, you can actually see the submissions from this year's Ennisfield Wolf Reflection Exhibition. Since we did the virtual exhibition space, we've just kept it online.
So we have our Ennisfield Wolf exhibition up there, but we also have a collection of student projects up there. So if you want to see what CHC scholars are up to, you can go on there, and we do have a collection of scholars projects. So I'm not seeing any other questions in chat. How are we doing on time, Janetta?
Oh, we have about 6 more minutes.
Okay. Any questions or thoughts or ideas? We don't pretend we've got this worked out. So if folks see opportunities that we should be taking with this initiative, we would welcome your input for sure.
I'd like to chime in on a couple of thoughts. I think that one would be certainly our office, video would love to do whatever we could to help support the endeavors of what you all are doing. So to the extent that you meet with individuals like the provost or others around campus, we'd love to meet these incredible students that are part of this program. I'm so glad that I got a chance to hear a little bit of each person's story. And you saw, I posted in the chat, I'm a little bit biased. Law is my background, so if I can, we got one that's on board, but I'll twist any arms I can. And being humanities majors, you are all ripe for law school, whatever you're doing. So I believe the legal profession can always use bright, talented people like yourselves. But also those things that we can do. And then also for Dr. McCrory, thinking about what things we as an institution can do to help you bridge that gap and to let students know about the opportunities that exist at CASE and how this can be a pathway. And to the extent that beyond the great work that Dr. K is doing and the program as a whole, but if there are other units and divisions across campus that can do outreach, we'd love to hear about those things as well. So I didn't want the night to end without me just thanking you both for your work, your vision, your dedication, all the people who work with the students, and particularly showing our appreciation for the students who've been so transparent and allowing us to get a small glimpse into their stories and their pathways and offering ways that we can support them.
I agree. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and helping us learn about and continue to grow the program. So congratulations on your accomplishments. I can't wait to see your names in press releases and know that, you know, your future started at Tri-C and you were able to move on to CASE and do fantastic things. So thank you so much for representing both institutions so proudly. And Daryl, I'd like for us to connect because I'm thinking about your work with entrepreneurship in Huff, and we have an entrepreneurship academy partnership with Cleveland schools, actually Jane Addams School, which is right across the street from Metropolitan Campus. And those students are earning college credit through Tri-C, but also learning about entrepreneurship. And I think having them talk to a Tri-C alum who's also at CASE and looking at ways to you know, create that pipeline for students who aspire to CASE or other schools and majoring in the humanities. I think there's a huge opportunity there, kind of drawing on what Darnell and Gina talked about with starting a little earlier than college and getting students right for pursuing a career in the humanities. So I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch.
Thank you. It'd be my pleasure.
Well, I would just like to echo the thanks of Vice President Solomon and President McCory and everybody else. And thank you so much for your contributions to the panel. Without our CHC students and scholars, there is no program. And I think all of the work of collaboration around the humanities really comes down to your experience and everything you all do. So thank you so much.
Well, with that, we'll close out. Look forward to hopefully running into some of you who are on campus. Feel free to reach out via Zoom. But this looks to be an exciting year, and we're just wishing you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you again.
You all have a great evening, and thank you for making this yet another great Power Diversity Lecture event.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all for giving us this opportunity. This is, it's not often that we get a platform to talk about our students and about our collaborations. And so.
This was a great session. Thank you both. And thank you for including the students.
And well, they are the reason that we do this. And I think Allison and I talk regularly about how Case Western Reserve can be more supportive of all of our students. These students are not the only first-generation college students. These students are not the only Pell-eligible students. These students are not the only students of color. These students are not the only students that have family challenges and children and things like this. And what we would really like, I think, in the long term to see emerge from the CHC is a transformation of our institution in ways that all of those students can be better supported. And so we spent a couple of days 3 years ago now. We went to Vanderbilt University, where they have a number of Mellon Foundation supported initiatives, including some STEM pathways and things. But they have a really robust Office of Transition Programs. And it was really an inspirational experience to see what they do around support for first generation students, underrepresented minorities, low income students, to make that experience of the institution that has such high walls, right? I mean, a place like Vanderbilt or Case Western Reserve, they feel like they have very high walls, even to those students who are most proximate geographically to those institutions. And it was inspirational to see some of the work that they were doing to kind of make that something closer to a zero entry pool, you know, for students who previously felt like the barriers were so high. So we would love to have conversations with anybody who would be interested about how we could do a little bit more of that.
Well, I know that one of the, you may have heard, one of the tasks that we have through our task force is to think about how to better serve our students and to think more critically about providing support for them. So I think to the extent that you all are engaged in programming that has that in mind, I think that it's important to really, you know, share what you've been engaged in, and maybe think about how can we scale that up. I mean, so, you know, the navigator process is something that's new to me, but what more could navigators learn